Dietrich, Dahl, Erickson, Bagg, Falscadeau, Francisco, Gossage, Haley, Hawk, Hildebrand, Holland, Holscher, Kirshen, Cluse, Longbine, Masterson, McGinn, Olson, O'Shea, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Pittman, Pyle, Reichman, Steffen, Straub, Sullentrop, Sykes, Thompson, Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Here. Senators and their guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to the chaplain.
Please join with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, most of us have had something to eat today to nourish our bodies. But in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, you said that kind of food is not enough. That we need to feed on every word that proceeds from you. And you've ordained your prophets to give us a divine, strength-building diet consisting of your holy word. So, Lord, let the words that come from us reflect the words that come from you. In Proverbs 18, verse 21, you tell us that the words we speak have the power of life and death. Your word, therefore, orders us in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, not to use foul, offensive, or insulting language, but to let everything we say be good and helpful, that our words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. So slow us down, that we not be so quick as to speak out of our emotions. In Proverbs 29:20, you say that one who speaks in haste is more hopeless than a fool. And you tell us in James chapter 1, verse 19, to be slow to speak, but quick to listen. For when we're listening, you can teach us something. And Lord, that reminds me of the wisdom of my grandmother. She told me that as long as I kept my mouth shut, I could avoid displaying my ignorance. So again, Lord, keep us on a steady diet of feeding on your word, because what comes in is what will go out. I pray today in Jesus' name, amen.
Please continue standing for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note a reference of bills and appointments on page 2 of the calendar. Messages from the governor, the clerk will read.
Message to the Senate of the State of Kansas. Enclosed is Executive Order 21-08 for your information. Respectfully, Governor Laura Kelly.
Messages from the House, the clerk will read.
Announcing passage of SB 118, announcing passage of Senate Bill 26, as amended by House Sub for SB 26, and SB 63 as amended by House Sub for SB 63, SB 99 as amended by House Sub for SB 99, announcing passage of Senate Bill 67 as amended, Senate Bill 95 as amended. Announcing passage of House Bill 2401, House Bill 2401, an act concerning the Department of Corrections.
This constitutes the introduction of those bills previously read. At this time, I'm referring House Bill 2401 to the Committee on Ways and Means. Motions to non-concur. Consideration of motions to concur or non-concur. The chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the Senate non-concur and House amendments to Senate Bill 63 and request a conference committee to be appointed.
You have heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The motion carried. The chair appoints as conferees on the part of the Senate the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner, the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, and the senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes. Consideration of motions to concur or non-concur. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate non-concur and House amendments to Senate Bill 26 and request a conference committee be appointed.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. The chair appoints as conferees on this part of the Senate Sedgwick, Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, the senator from Saline, Senator Clays, and the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk. On a motion, consideration of motions to concur or non-concur, the chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate non-concur and House amendments to Senate Bill 67 and request a conference committee be appointed.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carried. The chair appoints as conferees on the part of the Senate the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, the senator from Saline, Senator Clays, and the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk. Consideration of motions to concur or non-concur. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate non-concur and House amendments to Senate Bill 99 and request a conference committee be appointed.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. The chair appoints as conferees on the part of the Senate the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, the senator from Saline, Senator Clays, and the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk. Consideration of motions to concur or non-concur. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate non-concur and House amendments to Senate Bill 95 and request a conference committee be appointed.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries. The chair appoints as conferees on the part of the Senate the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, senator from Saline, Senator Clays, and the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk. There having been objection to Senate Bill 146 appearing on the consent calendar, the bill will be removed and placed on general orders. Before recessing, are there announcements? Yes, the senator from Cherokee, Senator Hildebrand.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. On everybody's desk, there is a little flyer just reminding everybody of the Legislative Bible Study tomorrow at 7 a.m. in room 142 South. Thank you.
Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, the chair recognizes the Assistant Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Republicans will caucus in our normal room 548, and I yield to the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Democrats will caucus in our usual room, 287 North, upon recess, and I yield back to the senator from Cali.
Senator for Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I move the Senate recess to the sound of the gavel.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion carries. The Senate is recessed. Senate will come to order. Senate will come to order. Consideration of appointments. Their chair recognizes the Assistant Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The appointment of Leslie Isherwood, appearing on page 3 of the calendar, is ready for consideration. Are there any questions?
Yes, the Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. No question, just wanted to report that at the confirmation hearing, the appointee was recommended favorably by Senate Judiciary Committee. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Senator, you can make your motion.
Mr. Leader, I move the appointment.
We will hold for final action. The Assistant Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. The appointment of J.C. Hurst, appearing on page 3 of the calendar, is ready for considerations. Are there any questions?
Yes, Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Likewise, the appointee at confirmation hearing received a favorable recommendation from Senate Judiciary Committee. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Senator, may move your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I move my appointment.
We will hold for final action. Conference Committee reports. Senator Bellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Everyone on your desk, you've got a CCR House Bill 2022 updating the State Corporation Commission's authority to regulate and determine responsibility for abandoned oil and gas wells and abolishing the Well Plugging Assurance Fund and transferring all assets and liabilities to the Abandoned Oil and Gas Fund. This bill passed out of the Senate earlier, 39-0. The conference committee met, and we had made a change here on the bill that passed out, and they agreed with our changes. So I stand for questions.
Senator from Sherman, would you make your motion first?
I move the Senate adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 2022 and stand for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll hold for final action. We are now ready for final action. On this roll call, we will take the following: the Conference Committee report on House Bill 2022 and the first two appointments on page 3, Hurst and Isherwood, and the consent calendar bills on pages 3 and 4, House Bill 2008, House Bill 2014, and House Bill 2321. The clerk will read the titles.
Under appointments, Kansas Court of Appeals, Judge Leslie Isherwood and J.C. Hurst. HB 2008, an act concerning the Attorney General. HB 2014, an act concerning motor vehicles. HB 2321, an act concerning electric utilities. And HB 2022, an act concerning oil and gas wells.
Excuse me. Clerk will call the rolls.
Alley. Baumgardner. Billinger. Bowers. Clays. Corson. Dietrich. Dahl. Erickson. Fagg. Faustido. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hawk. Hildebrand. Holland. Holscher. Kirshen. Cluse. Longbine. Masterson. McGinn. Olson. O'Shea. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Pittman. Pyle. Reichman. Steffen. Straub. Sullentrop. Sykes. Thompson. Tyson. Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Aye. Has every senator had the opportunity to vote? Does any Senator McGinn? Does any senator wish to change their vote? Does any senator wish to explain their vote? For these, we are waiting for Senator Thompson. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Without objection, we will reopen the roll and the senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I vote aye.
Thank you. We will now tally the vote. Forty having voted in favor and 0 against House Bill 2008, House Bill 2014, House Bill 2022, House Bill 2321 for the confirmation of J.C. Hurst and for the confirmation of Leslie Isherwoods. These measures, having received the required constitutional majority, are hereby declared passed and confirmed. The chair recognizes the senator from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I move the Senate resolve itself into a committee of a whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of general orders.
You have heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carried. The chair appoints the senator from Johnson, Senator Warren, to preside over the committee of the whole.
The Senate, having resolved itself into the committee of the whole, will now consider those items on the calendar under the heading of general orders. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 2. The chair recognizes the senator from Cowley, Senator Alley, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 2 would amend the statutes governing the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor on the premise of the state fair. Today, you can go to a booth there, purchase beer and wine, and then go into a designated area that's marked on the fairgrounds and consume that beer and wine. Patrons of state fair can purchase the beer and wine on the leased premises of the permit holder of the state fair. And then the state fair leases the fairground to the permit holder, who obtains a temporary permit from the director to sell and serve beer and wine at the state fair. This bill would allow the state fair board to designate an area that's a little larger than the permit holder's lease premises, which the patrons could consume the beer and wine purchased at the fair. The boundaries must be marked with a three-dimensional barrier with signs, posted map, or other means of identifying the area. Beer and wine sold by a temporary permit holder could then be removed from the leased premises of the permit holder and carried into the consumption area. Senate Bill 2 also amends the alcoholic liquor enforcement tax laws to direct a portion of the tax revenue from the sale on the state fairgrounds to the state fair capital improvements. Under this bill, 70% of the tax revenue from both the 8% retail sales enforcement tax and the 10% drink sale enforcement tax would be credited to the State Fair Capital Improvements Fund. This fund would expire, however, if the state fair is ever relocated outside of the city of Hutchinson. If you remember, several years ago, we expanded and gave the state fair authorization to bond for capital improvements. This will put additional funds into that capital improvement fund. And I'll stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Cowley? Seeing none, you may close.
Madam Chair, I move that when the committee rises and reports, you report Senate Bill 2 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to House Bill 2172. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Kirshen, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2172 is about multi-year flex accounts, oftentimes referred to as MIFAs in the irrigation industry. And what had happened, those about 10 years ago were adopted as ways for farmers, producers, irrigators to manage their water supply and ration it out over a 5-year period. It was designated that they could use those at will. An example would be like if you had a couple of years of drought, you wouldn't have to use, you could use your entire allocation and for that part, and then at the end, if you had leftover water, you could still make it up with that. So the idea was to be flexible with your water supply and make sure you save as much as possible. During that time, after the MIFAs were adopted, the legislature adopted 2 areas one was called conservation areas and the other was a local enhanced management area, or a LEMA. And those two organizations were dealing with conserving water, and they were an occupied piece of land with several tenants. So it was a group of people got together and decided they were going to save water, and that's why it was called this local enhanced management. Unfortunately, it didn't work very good for the MIFAs to operate under that scenario, so they had to change the way they was forming those MIFAs, and they found out that we had to adopt a license, that a MIFA that would be under 5 years. Right now, the existing ones at that time had to be 5 years in length, and this 2172 amends the bill so that you can have a MIFA of 5 years or less. So that would open the door so they could do more conserving water. And get water designated as beneficial use. And with that, I'll ask for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sedgwick? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rise and reports House Bill 2172 favorable for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 145. The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Senate Bill 145 is an act concerning the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks authorizing the purchase of land in Kingman County. The purchase would include approximately 494 acres. It's located next to approximately 4,700 acres, which is the Byron Walker Wildlife Area that includes the 144-acre Kingman State Fishing Lake. This would be a completion of a showcase transaction on how Kansas Wildlife and Parks, local landowners, and non-government organizations like Ducks Unlimited can work together to facilitate the acquisition of select properties under circumstances that benefit everyone involved. Kansas who participate in recreational pastimes like hunting, fishing, hiking, biking, and kayaking will truly appreciate the natural enhancement to this wonderful public area. Currently, Kansas ranks 49th in the country for public lands, with only 1.9% of lands being public. This property contains a portion of the South Fork of the Nenasko River and attracts excellent concentration of overwintering mallards, with wintering habitat is rare. Cost would be at appraised value of around $1.1 million. No funds would come from the state general fund. 3/4 of the funds would be federal funds, and 1/4 of it would come from the Kansas Wildlife Fee Fund. This bill came out of committee with a unanimous vote. There was 6 proponents, no neutrals, and no opponents. I stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Butler? The chair recognizes the senator from Riley, Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions. I want to commend the senator from Butler for bringing this bill to us. I'd also like to commend the Secretary of Parks and Wildlife, Secretary Lovelace, and his staff for the work that they did, particularly on a couple fronts that the senator from Butler mentioned, and that's the involvement of the community and the farmers in creating this package to existing land, and I think also getting the payment in lieu of taxes. So I think this is an excellent bill, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Are there further questions from the senator from Butler? The chair recognizes the senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Will the carrier of the bill stand for a question?
He will.
Thank you. So could you explain to us how the property tax is going to work when this land is purchased by Wildlife and Parks?
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The property tax currently is $1,773.94. And what will happen is that the funds will be paid out of the Wildlife and Parks funds. And so there won't be any property tax paid, but that amount of money will be paid to the county so that the county won't be losing any money on this deal. This is my understanding is kind of a standard thing that they've been doing when they've acquired property.
Chair recognizes senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So that means the schools and the fire districts, the cemetery boards, and the other districts will not receive any money from this sale?
Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I know that dollar figure is going to Kingman County, and I do not know the answer to that, but with that amount of money going, I would think they was trying to make everyone whole that was going to be missing out on taxes.
Chair recognizes Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my understanding in these payment in lieu of, it's much like the wind turbines. It's up to the county's discretion as to whether the money is distributed against the rest of the taxing authorities. So I would like to find out if there's clarification as to whether those other taxing entities would receive any money or not.
Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My thought process when I seen the dollar figure is $1773.94. My house where I live is about a $200,000 house. It costs me $4,000 a year. So when we're talking this kind of money in a project that brings in around $7 million, those are some small details that I think would be worked out, that I think Wildlife and Parks would be more than happy to take care of that.
Chair recognizes Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I appreciate the good senator and his optimism. However, I have witnessed to where it doesn't work out that way in other programs. In fact, there have been groups that have approached the tax committee because their payment in lieu of, they do not receive any of that money. It just goes to the county, and the county decides whether to distribute it or not.
Would the Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg, wish to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding there is absolutely no one that's opposing this in that area. The local landowners are all aware of it. This is something that's been going on for 2 or 3 years, and I'm not aware of anyone that's opposing this from landowners in the area.
Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I find it interesting that the government buying up private property. I've had a problem with this for a while, and we continue to watch Wildlife and Parks purchase land after land after land. In fact, a few years ago, they had a proviso in the budget to purchase land, and they had to have it within a certain date, and they did not make that date. They went ahead and made the purchase anyway, and no one cried foul, no one stopped them from doing this. I have great concern the fact that our landowners are competing against our own government in these purchases. Would the carrier of the bill know how much land is available for walk-in hunting for the state of Kansas?
Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A couple things on that. In visiting with Wildlife and Parks, this is not a land grab, because they have actually sold property here in the last year, like 240 acres, and it was sold at auction. So I think they're trying to always better themselves to present a quality product and care about the people in the area. So.
Chair recognizes Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Well, that makes me even more concerned that they're picking the prime property, because private owners are going to have a difficult time competing against government on these land purchases. I will not be supporting this bill, and I hope the rest of the body takes this into consideration. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Lost my thought there just a minute here. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things. These pieces of ground adjacent to these reserves don't come up very often for sale, so it's an opportunity. I've been to a few of these Ducks Unlimited events. There's chapters all across this state. These guys are every one of our constituents. You know, they put these events together, these silent auctions. They raffle off rifles and different things to raise this money. One of the reasons is a lot of them are hunters or fishermen. And, you know, in this state, so many out-of-staters are coming in and hunting, we're losing that valuable hunting space. As I talk to my friends in the rural area, I hear all the time, you know, I used to be able to hunt this. I hunted it for 20 years, and now an out-of-stater has come in, leased it up, and there's no place to hunt. So I think this kind of helps the problem. You know, these people are out trying to raise, the Ducks Unlimited are trying to raise money to be able to help purchase some of this land, to take care of it. These are avid hunters. They buy their license every year. So I think this actually helps relieve some of that problem. This actually gives more hunting space to the residents of Kansas. And some might not have access to land. They might live in the city. So this opens even more land up for them too. I really think this is a good thing to have more land to be able to hunt for Kansans. So I'm going to support this bill. Thank you.
Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wanted to make a comment on the ground that's being bought. It's marshland. So you're talking about for duck hunting, you might need knee-deep water. So it's more of a recreational thing to say who else is going to buy this and what for. I just wanted to add that to what was said in the conversation. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the senator from McPherson, Senator Wilborn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity just to make a couple of comments. Number one, I know where this property is at, and it is nothing more than a waste ground. At best, it would be sold as recreational property. It is not prime ground. The other point I want to make is that I have total confidence in the committee process. This has went through the committee, it's been vetted, and I'll be strongly supporting this bill. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from Reno, Senator Steffen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I am one of the local landowners in the area. It's in my district, and it's about 12 miles as the crow flies from land I own. And if it made $7 million a year, I'd be buying it. So those numbers are incredibly inaccurate and incredibly optimistic. This ground does not add many huntable days to the system. The real way to get resident hunters hunting in Kansas is through the walk-in hunting program, which is a great program that started here in Kansas, and they lease over 1 million acres of land a year for folks to hunt on. That's how you get residents out hunting. I will give the Department of Wildlife and Parks credit. And I think a lot of that was just dumb luck on their part. They kind of got stoned on this last year because of the virus response. They have crossed their T's. They have crossed their T's and dotted their I's. They have placated the area farmers and ranchers, and this deal is going to work out okay. And I am going to vote to support it, but they better not be back in my district buying any more ground while I'm a senator, because I will attack them. Thank you.
Does the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg, wish to reply? No. The chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The freshman carrier will no longer be a freshman after carrying this legislation and the questions that have been asked. But I did ask a question earlier. I did not receive an answer, and I did tell the carrier of the bill I was going to ask him a question. So since he's standing, Madam Chair, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. In Section 1B, it says the provisions of KSA 75-3739 and amendments thereto shall not apply to the acquisition authorized by this section or any contracts required thereof. And then in the supplemental note, it says the bill would exempt the land purchase from the state's competitive bid law, which then it quotes the same KSA. My question to the carrier would be actually probably multiple questions, but is it normal to be exempt from the competitive bid process when the state purchases property?
Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding that that's a policy decision, and we are talking hunting area, recreational area, and that's as much as I know about that, but as far as the history goes.
Senator from Montgomery, Senator Fagg. Oh, excuse me, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Another freshman. We got a lot of freshmen standing and taking care of business today. We're all learning through the process. But when it comes, my question for, or my reason for asking this primarily is there was no competitive bid. Could the state potentially have received this at a lower price if the land was out there for a competitive bid process? And so that's the reason that I was asking why this transaction. And I don't know if the chair of the committee would be willing to stand for a question to try to answer that, or if I will need to get an answer somewhere else, Madam Chair, but I still feel like I would like to have that question answered. I don't tend to support legislation such as this when the land starts acquiring, or when the state starts acquiring land that is private property and it turns it into state-owned property. And I realize that as a state, we are percentage-wise way down compared to some other states, but I always prefer to see land in the hands of private property owners. So I guess I will turn it to you, Madam Chair, to determine if I will get an answer or if I will not get an answer to my question as to why the state was exempt, or why in this bill is the provisions of 75-3739 not being applied in this particular case as it relates to this land acquisition.
This is a bill that arises from the Senate Ways and Means Committee. Does the chair wish to stand for questions? The chair recognizes Senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My understanding is this property was purchased on the open market.
Well, we don't know what the appraised value
by Ducks Unlimited, and then was offered later on to Wildlife and Parks.
and I don't know that.
Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that answer, but I still don't know why Section 1B is in the bill. Maybe it shouldn't have ever been put in the legislation. I don't know. I just always prefer for us to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. If this land could have been acquired for a lower price than what it's being acquired for, I think that's what we should have done. On the other side of the coin is to make certain that the landowner, which apparently is Ducks Unlimited, is being protected and is not giving up land at a bargain price. So it appears as though there's not a good answer, at least I haven't received one, and I'm not going to press the issue any further, but I will still try to receive an answer before voting on this piece of legislation. So I will stop at that point. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Does the senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger, wish to reply?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the senator from Saline, Senator Clays.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, but maybe just some historical context. A couple years ago, we increased the voter registration fee because the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks came to us saying that SGF will be needed to supplement the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks fee fund. We increased that fee, and at the end of 2021, the estimated balance in that fund will be $10.9 million. A nice, safe slush fund. However, at the end of 2022, that is going to drop to $6.4 million. So I would just remind the body that while these aren't taxpayer dollars, they are fee payer dollars. and that that next fee might be coming for you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The chair recognizes the senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe my question's been answered. So my understanding is that currently, well, can he clarify who the current owner is of the property?
The chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It is Ducks Unlimited.
Chair recognizes senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
And can he tell me the history of when they purchased it and how they purchased it?
Chair recognizes senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding that it's been a couple years ago, and that's what I know about. Like 2017 was a number that I remember hearing. So,
Chair recognizes senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did they outbid other bidders at an auction, or did they buy this direct through a realtor? Do you know?
Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am not aware of exactly how they bought that. I know with the landowner that was in question, there was some ground that was swapped out to kind of keep ag ground out of it as much as possible and stay down in the marsh area. But as far as an appraisal or anything like that, I do know that when we go to purchase this, that we will be working off an appraisal. It's my understanding that it will be below appraisal, but I don't know how much.
Chair recognizes senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does the senator from Butler know, has this transfer of property happened before between this group and Wildlife and Parks?
Chair recognizes senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding because of COVID that this thing was with us last year. It's been something in the makings for a couple years. It's been vetted with the local landowners out there very carefully. To this point, I haven't heard one person that's had a problem with it except to today.
Chair recognizes senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe the senator from Sherman can shed some light on the history of this, because this has been around for some time, and there are some questions still hanging that have been around for some time also. It's my understanding the history of the purchase of the property, and I'd like to be proven wrong on this, but it was bought and they outbid all the other bidders, and then they turned around within a year and wanted to sell it to Wildlife and Parks. Great thing. I mean, that's a great way to, I buy my neighbor's land and then sell it back to somebody else that lets me farm it and get what I want off of it and hunt it and do everything. I mean, that's just a great thing to do. And I'd like to know, has this happened before? I'd also like to know if that is a correct assessment, how they purchased the property. Because, you know, if we start doing this kind of practice where we allow an entity to go out and outbid all the other free market people that are bidding on that property and then turn around with a good deal, come to the state and say, hey, we want a closed deal here, we're going to sell it to Wildlife and Parks. And I guess my next question, Madam Chair, would be, is that today's appraised value or the appraised value of when they purchased the property?
Does the senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger, wish to stand for questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm not sure that I can answer the question. I believe that these type purchases have happened in the past. I don't know exactly when and where, but I know there has been some of these. And I'm not sure on the appraised value, if they're talking what it was appraised currently. I could assume, and that's all I could do, is that it's probably current value, but I can't answer that infinitely. So,
Chair recognizes senator from Brown, Senator Pyle.
Well, I thank him for that answer, because I think that is the underlying issue here with the bill, that, you know, people that were interested in this property were outbid by someone bidding with the knowledge that they could access wildlife and parks and get their money back and keep the marsh and the hunting and all that. And I'm not opposed to that, but I am opposed to the use of the state in this fashion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator, excuse me, the chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding that Ducks Unlimited purchased the land at appraised value back in, let's say, 2017. And this transaction will be working off appraised value when we do the transaction. So if you think about that, if markets would have changed down, you know, this would go the other way. So we're talking appraisal, on what's happened with this.
The chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few questions for the carrier of the bill, if he'll have them.
He will.
Could you please share with us who testified with regard to Senate Bill 145?
Chair recognizes senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
There was 6, of course, the Wildlife and Parks, and then we had some written testimony that was a Natural Conservancy outfit, and looking for the name on here. There was 6 of them all together here. Let's see on this one here. Backcountry Hunters and Anglers of Kansas, and then Ducks Unlimited had a couple of them in there.
Chair recognizes senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will not challenge what the underlying issue of this bill is with the senator from Brown, but I would assert that a larger issue is the notion that the proponent for this legislation to pass is the owner of the property, Ducks Unlimited. That is of a concern to me, and I'm just wondering, in their written testimony from Ducks Unlimited, did they share that they in fact owned the property?
Chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Could she please repeat the question there at the end? I didn't catch that, Madam Chair.
Chair recognizes senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I would like to know is, in the testimony provided by Ducks Unlimited, did they share with the committee that they were in fact owners of this property, that they were proponents that the state would purchase?
Chair recognizes senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think everyone was aware of it on the committee.
Chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we talk about ethics, ethical business transactions, I would say that this is exactly the opposite of that. This is unethical. I believe it's unethical for a proponent to ask the state to make a purchase, for it not to be an open bid process of the very land that they own. I am curious, was any discussion made with regard to mineral rights of this property? Who in fact will own the mineral rights if this property is sold to the state?
Chair recognizes senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am unaware of what that would be. As far as the mineral rights go, that was not discussed. Transactions I've been around, usually that is brought up, if that's part of the deal, but that was not brought up.
Chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Madam Chair, I think before we commit or obligate the state for ownership of property, we should have that spelled out with regard to mineral rights. We should have before us any appropriate mineral testing. I'm curious to know from the carrier of the bill, were water rights discussed with regard to this parcel of property?
Chair recognizes the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My opinion that whenever the transactions happens, normally all that goes with it unless specified differently. The appraisal would have to allow for if any of that was not in that. So exactly what the state's position is on what you do with mineral rights and water rights, I would think that would be in the pricing of the appraisal.
Chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The carrier of the bill earlier stated that the acquisition of this land by the state had gone through a vetting process, a fairly lengthy vetting process, which I think is ironic since we just learned that Ducks Unlimited acquired the property just, I guess, 3.5 years ago. But I am curious with regard to landowners, is there any adjacent land to this parcel that is also owned by Ducks Unlimited?
Body, without objection, we will pass over Senate Bill 145, and it will retain its place on the calendar. Excuse me, it will retain a place on the calendar. We will now turn our attention to House Bill 2270. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I apologize, there's no committee report. Is the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, please explain the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. HB 2270 was brought at the request of the State Fire Marshal and codifies a budget proviso that has been implemented every year since 2010. It specifies how funds from the levy of the fire insurance companies are distributed. 10% up to $100,000 every year goes for governmental services for the State Fire Marshal, Emergency Services Medical Board, and the Fire Service Training Program for accounting, legal, personnel, purchasing services, etc. The remainder is divided as follows: 64% to the Fire Marshal Fee Fund, 20% to the Emergency Medical Services Operating Fund, and 16% to the Fire Service Training Program Fund. This is so that that work can be supported and continued in the local communities. With that, Madam Chair, I'll stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sedgwick? Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question for the carrier as it relates to the funds that are used by the fire marshal. Where do these funds come from?
The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's from a levy on the fire insurance companies that do business in Kansas.
Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the fire insurance companies receive their funds from whom?
The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would say that the policyholders.
Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I really appreciate the carrier of the legislation answering these questions. I ask these specifically for one reason, not to put the carrier on the spot at all, but for the benefit of the body and for anyone else who may be listening in. It is amazing to me, most Kansans don't realize when you pay your insurance premiums, a portion of that, around 2%, is a tax that goes to the state. So people sometimes complain about insurance premiums and various other things. I realize 2% is not that significant amount of money of your insurance premiums, but again, this was just sort of an FYI, and I had already visited with the carrier of the legislation about this particular levy. This premium tax is what I'm going to call it. But again, I think it's important for legislators to be aware that insurance premiums are not insurance money that all goes to the agent or to the insurance company, but a portion of it does go to the government. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No response.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for the senator from Sedgwick? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports House Bill 2270 favorable for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to House Bill 2137. The chair recognizes the senator from Cowley, Senator Alley, who will, I made the rhyme, Cowley from Alley. So, the senator from Cowley, Senator Alley, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
Madam Chair, I adopt the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Senator, you may explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2137, as amended, would expand the categories of the alcoholic liquor licensee who can sell cereal malt beverage, and would allow temporary permit holders to sell the cereal malt beverage along with alcohol liquor, and would provide for the removal of this cereal malt beverage from the licensee area of the clubs and drinking establishment in an open and unopened containers, and would allow the cereal malt beverage to be consumed in common consumption areas. And by what that means is, if you don't finish your 6-pack of beer at the Pizza Hut, they then could go ahead and put that in a container, seal it up, and then put it in a bag, mark the bags, what date you bought it, and then they would let you out with it. But it couldn't be something that you could drink as you go out the container. It has to be out. So that is one change. And then the other change in this bill would also allow the Liquor Control Act to allow a person whose spouse is employed as a law enforcement officer to be eligible to receive a liquor license, provided that spouse is not a law enforcement officer in the same county as potentially permitted premises, and the applicant meets all the requirements in the continuing law. And the bill would be in effect upon the publishment in the Kansas Register. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Cowley? The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Faust Godot.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just had to rise also to say I appreciated your rhyme. So I do have a question for the senator from Cowley, if he'll stand.
He will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of the legislation, first of all, and then one of the topics that we discussed in our caucus was the clarification of the law enforcement individual being able to obtain a license, and to avoid that conflict, if the chairman would just restate that again, that are we talking about the residential place of the law enforcement person seeking the license, or are we talking about where he works at, what precinct he might work at with the police department? So just that clarification, Madam Chair.
The chair recognizes the senator from Cowley, Senator Alley.
Thank you, ma'am. Current law prohibits the liquor license for an applicant whose spouse is employed as a law enforcement officer, and such applicant is ineligible to hold a license. This bill would be amended to allow the person whose spouse is employed as a law enforcement officer to be eligible to receive a liquor license, provided the spouse is not a law enforcement officer in the same county as a potential permitted premises, and the applicant meets the requirement for continuing law. So they cannot be a law enforcement officer in the same county as the license is issued.
The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Faust Godot.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator, carrying the legislation for that clarification. So it's where he works, not where he resides. Thank you. And then, Madam Chair, I'd just like to say, since it's a Women's Month, thank you for being in the chair. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Are there further questions for the senator from Cowley? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and it reports House Bill 2137 favorable for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to Senate substitute for House Bill 2102. The chair recognizes the senator from Barton, Senator Straub, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee did have amendments. I move we adopt the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. You may proceed and explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate substitute for House Bill 2102 would update the Kansas egg law regarding repackaged eggs. Repackaged eggs means the removing a broken or dirty egg from a carton and replacing it with an unbroken or clean egg, as long as certain requirements in continuing law are met. The bill would also clarify which requirements would need to be met for repackaged eggs that may be graded higher than grade B, and repackaged eggs to be graded grade B. There is no fiscal note reported from the Department of Agriculture, and I might also add that this bill will help eliminate food waste and bring egg poachers, such as the good senator from Montgomery, into compliance with the egg law. I'll stand for questions. Thank you.
Are there questions for the senator from Barton? The chair recognizes the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not have any questions. I was a member of the committee that heard and worked on the bill, but I want to stand to say thank you to the senator from Barton, also to our chair, the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Kirshen. I believe that the amendments that were made do make this bill more workable, and it is a great way to reduce food waste. So I would certainly appreciate the support of the other members of the chamber passing this bill.
Are there further questions for the senator from Barton? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports Senate substitute for House Bill 2102 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to House Bill 2178. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator McGinn, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
I move adoption of the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. You may proceed to explain the bill.
House Bill 2178 is also combined with another bill, Senate Bill 88. Both bills are a result of COVID from last year. The base bill is House Bill 2178 has to do with the City of Americas, where they had some land platted in the 1800s for a college. They'd like to change that plat so they can use it for a park or a development now. Senate Bill 88, it deals with vacations of property, and it's a bill that's already come through the chamber floor that has to do with vacation of properties, and as the league was looking at it, the language, they decided that they needed to clean up a whole lot of language, and that's why the bill is just a little bit messy, but it has to do with your rights, vacation of property, either because of the result of a city doing it, and then also if you're a landowner and you've been grieved by it. Senate Bill 88 passed 37-1. House Bill 2178 passed 121-1. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sedgwick? Seeing none, you may close.
I move that when the committee rises and report House Bill 2178 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. The chair recognizes the Assistant Majority Leader from Cowley, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries.
The clerk will read the committee report.
On motion of Senator Alley, the Senate resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders with Senator Warren in the chair. Recommended, Senate Bill 2, House Bill 2172, House Bill 2270 be passed. House Bill 2137, House Bill 2178 be amended by the adoption of the committee report and the bills be passed as amended. House Bill 2102 be amended by the adoption of the committee report recommending a substitute bill be passed. Senate Bill 145 be passed over and retain a place on the calendar.
The chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Warren, to adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move we adopt the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 304 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning the COVID-19 Contact Tracing Privacy Act. Senate Bill 305 by Committee on Ways and Means, an act concerning law enforcement.
This constitutes the introduction of Senate Bill 304 and through Senate Bill 305. At this time, I'm referring Senate Bill 304 to the Committee on Judiciary. I'm re-referring Senate Bill 305 to the Committee on Transportation. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends HB 2136 as amended by House Committee be amended. Senator Long, and the bill be passed as amended. Senator Longbine, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends HB 2134 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Senator Longbine, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Ways and Means recommends HB 2214 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Senator Billinger, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Local Government recommends HB 2175 be passed. Senator McGinn, chairperson.
Are there announcements? Excuse me.
Mr. President, the Committee on Transparency and Ethics recommends HB 2162 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Senator Bowers, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Transparency and Ethics recommends HB 2050 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Senator Bowers, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends Senate Bill 290 be passed. Senator Longbine, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Transportation recommends HB 2165 as amended by House Committee be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Senator Peterson, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends HB 2379 as amended by the House Committee be passed. Senator Longbine, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Transportation recommends substitute for House Bill 2166 be amended by House Committee of the Whole be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Senator Peterson, chairperson.
Now we are ready for announcements. Are there announcements? The senator from Miami, Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I just want to remind my Senate Education Committee that we are not meeting tomorrow, but we are meeting on Thursday. Thank you.
The senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We will have a Utilities Committee meeting tomorrow and anticipating working one bill. And that's it. Normal time, normal place.
Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, the chair recognizes the Assistant Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate adjourn until 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carries. The Senate is adjourned.